feeling a zero.
It's a jam.
Let's go.
Next one's my favorite.
I'm feeling a zero.
Next one's my favorite.
Okay, hey everyone, welcome to Late Night number, I don't know what number this is. It's been a while since we've done a late night. I'm your host, Matty, Recon AG. We have AJ.
Yo.
Stefan.
Yep.
Will.
Hey.
We're recording this like right after we recorded our Bottomless Pit Color Anything discussion.
It's like a hangover cast.
Yeah.
Because
We're gonna do a podcast discussion on our most recent podcast. Because we liked it.
Well, also, like, the three of us are podcasted out, and then Will's just, like, the asshole DD who feels fine.
Basically, what really happened, though, is the second... Okay, actually, no. I'll walk everyone through the whole story. We had... Matty and I both had Coloring Book on our What Have You Been Listening To, and Jeremiah was like, I am not letting you guys talk about Coloring Book on the podcast. And we were like, that's fine. We don't really... Like, we would definitely had a... Oh, fuck me. Dark Souls servers are down. Anyway, we were like, yeah, we definitely will probably have an actual conversation about that album. We don't need to discuss 3 albums tonight, so we won't talk about Coloring Book at all. And I was like, even if you mention it, Matty, like, I'm gonna go off because I feel strongly about Coloring Book. And
I'll join in that going off session.
well, we successfully did the whole podcast like without. I think like all that really happened.
There's a quick mention of our thoughts, but that was it.
Yeah, and then like. The second the podcast ended, we were like, that was a really good podcast. And I was like, yeah, we also didn't talk about Coloring Book once, which I genuinely disliked.
Well, we talked about it, but we just didn't, like, go into it.
We started, and then we were like, wait, let's record it. Like, let's record a late night, because we're still discussing.
Yeah.
Have you listened to it yet, Stefan? I know that you hadn't until this afternoon.
Yeah, I just did, like, before the podcast, because it was on everyone's What Have You Been Listening To? So, yeah, I got, like, a hot-off-the-presses first impression.
Give it.
Oh, yeah, Stefan was, like, hyping up his own thoughts, so I want to hear them.
Oh, boy. Okay, so, like, because Matty and AJ, you guys were both shitting on this album super hard on Twitter, and so you guys made me think...
Okay, I didn't shit on it super hard. At first I was, before it came out, I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this album. It's going to be, like, my currents. And now I'm like, I've cooled down. I'm like, okay, it's definitely not going to be my currents. Like, I like this album, but it's definitely, like, kind of disappointing coming from Chance.
I didn't, like, actively shit on it. I was just, like, my first reaction was, like, the mixing's kind of weird. And then, like, my first full thought was, like, I was kind of let down by this. Like, and then, like...
Well, you said you liked the Yachty verse.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
that's, like, one of the best songs on the album.
Yeah, the Yachty verse is fucking hype-ish.
Except I hate how self-righteous he is on that song.
Yachty?
Like, no, he's like, am I the only one that still care about mixtapes?
Oh, that is the worst hook on that album.
No,
It's like shut the fuck up.
This is a complaint.
You had the two biggest mixtape rappers in the world, Young Thug and Lil Yachty. And then you're like, oh, am I the only one that care about mixtapes? Like, shut the fuck up.
This is an in-depth complaint I want to have about this album. When Chance like gets on that weird Atlanta like Young Thug style delivery on the choruses, it's horrendous. I hate it so much.
Is that Chance on like those choruses? Those choruses suck.
The auto-tune on this album is terrible.
Uh-huh. And then like
it doesn't work for Chance.
Homo, you're lagging a little bit.
Rip.
But yeah, it feels like, again, this album, it's like the unique identity that like Chance had on like acid rap. It's like sort of starting to fall down, and like, cause like there's some songs in here where he sounds like, oh, he's really sounding a little too much like the Features, you know, like that's
this
not
really
good.
This really feels like an R&B album more than a rap album to me.
Yeah, he's barely on the album. Like acid rap had bars from front to back nonstop, and like. It's like Chance is like, oh, I was inspired by Kanye on this album. Like, did he inspire you to be the chorus man on your own record? Like, what? Where are the verses?
I mean, on the life
mentions that he was on Kanye's album. He had mentions that he was on Kanye's album like 4 times. It's ridiculous. It's like Day. Remember when I dropped a goat verse on Kanye's album?
It's like, okay, here's the thing.
Yeah, but what about?
God.
What about your fucking album, Chance?
Yeah.
What about yours?
What I don't like about this album is that, like, Chance's persona as an artist has always been a point of contention for me, in just that, like, when Acid Rap came out, I really liked the project, and then, like, the people I was hanging out at the time with and enjoying that project were just very typical, like, backpack rap fans, and were just like, this is, like, this smoke, all I want to do with my life is smoke weed and, like, listen to music. They're people whose bios on Twitter likely were and still are like all you need is music, or like all I need is music, like that kind of. There's a certain type of person who like will go out of like, I think we all say like, you know, music's like a hobby, an interest of mine, but there are people who go out of their way to be like, I love music, and just like the way that they kind of describe it or talk about it just irks me because it's very
like everyone likes music. Yeah, no, I agree. It's like everyone like music. There's so many different genres. So like everyone likes some music. It's like it's like I love movies. It's like, well, there's so many fucking movies of varying qualities and genres. Like, of course you like movies.
Like, it's the stereotype of people who are like, oh, music is my life. And it's like, name a song outside, like, alternative radio's top 40.
It's like, oh, you like music, name your top 5 albums. You like anime.
Project, yeah.
And if they mention
you like anime, name your top 5 albums.
If they list G-Eazy in their top 5 albums, you know they're police. You should probably like run away because they're gonna probably bust you for drugs.
Okay, hold on. I want to ask Matty about this because like I'm not on Hip Hop Head's Twitter. What is the deal with the Jeezy is the white supremacist?
Oh
theory?
My god!
Like, please explain this.
Okay, so I didn't start this. I wasn't the first one to start this theory, but I was like the one who like really popularized it. So I made a joke tweet one day where I was listing off like I made like a joke tweet about G-Eazy where it's like reasons I love G-Eazy, and it was like great voice, you know, great beats, you know, looks like an H&M model, and then like in there like the third one is like neo-Nazi, and then like back to normal stuff. And
that's still my favorite Matty tweet of all time.
And then like after like a bump tweet I made where it's like G-Eazy behind like a Nazi background, and like those tweets somehow like blew up a little bit, not like 1,000 like retweets, but it has like over 100 retweets. Both of those images do, or both of those tweets do.
I want to get back to Coloring Book just super quickly to like explain like this is what I wanted to share, like my listening process for this album. So I went in with like super low expectations. All We Got starts, and like I don't know, I heard like and like those summery vibes, and I was like, hey, this is pretty good. Like we might have an actual like Chance album on our hands. Like the bass mixing's a little weird, but that's okay. Kanye's doing whatever. Like no problem. Hook is stupid, but like still some solid verses. Like Lil Wayne's coming through, which is nice to see. Like that's okay. Summer Friends, another decent track.
2 Chainz has a high contender for fucking verse of the year on No Problem.
Verse of the year is Chance on.
Yes, verse of the year
Ultralight Beam
is and will always be Chance on Ultralight Beam.
Or the last verse on Kendrick's Untitled O2. It's like corner of penny, he was born with a vision.
Oh yeah.
Those are the top 2 verses of the year.
Untitled Master just like literally doesn't count for anything. Like Kendrick Lamar is officially like
for album of the year. It doesn't count.
No. I just think in general, as a rule from now on, Kendrick Lamar just doesn't count because like music would be unfair if we have to like include like I think Kendrick Lamar should automatically be excluded from any discussion ever because it's just like it's just a taken fact that he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time, and like
all time.
We don't need to have.
All time is still a bit.
I'm prepared to go there just because the context, like this is all based around To Pimp a Butterfly still too, pretty much, but just like the context of what hip hop and that culture means, like right now compared to any other time, just like, and then to have someone like Kendrick pretty much objectively at the forefront of it all, it's just like Jesus Christ. This is
G-Eazy Christ.
Jesus Christ. Oh this is like a fucking. This will never happen again. This is like. He's like the Beatles of hip hop. If you want to go there,
no, that is completely untrue. You have Biggie and Tupac.
Okay, but like.
Here's the thing.
But wait though, Biggie and Tupac are dead though, so like they're dead.
Well, no.
Still,
here's the thing. Kendrick Lamar is alive. Biggie and Tupac are dead. Kendrick Lamar automatically wins.
From a cultural standpoint, this is the stuff that we are like not allowed to talk about for To Pimp a Butterfly, but like the cultural lens and like the discussion that is surrounding the culture and the genre right now for an artist like Kendrick Lamar to be working is like incomparable to Biggie and Tupac in the 90s, I feel like.
Also, like, okay, so yeah, I agree with you, AJ, but like the distinction is Kendrick, like you can't call him the greatest of all time right now, but in 10 years he will be. Like his music will stand the test of time, and like he will stand with the greats absolutely, and maybe even be the great. Like there's no question about it. No one else is doing what he's doing right now.
Also, hold on, can I very quickly? Okay, just going back to Coloring Book, very quickly.
Okay, yeah.
Literally,
I
the only
my summary of that.
The best thing that comes from this album is that someone did like a Photoshop of Chance's hat, where instead of saying 3, it says "Make America Great Again." Yeah. Only good part. I'll probably make that the thumbnail of this video if I can.
Okay, so with Coloring Book though, like
let's go back. I want to actually talk about it. Like we need to not talk about.
Yeah, fuck Kendrick Lamar. He sucks. Let's talk about
this is all I'm going to say about Coloring Book. So, like, All We Got, No Problems, Summer Friends, like, decent tracks, enjoying it, got high hopes for the project. And then Dram Sing Special comes on, and I was like, fuck. He lost me. And, like, he didn't get me back. Like, the rest of it tapered. Like, that track is so unnecessary and bizarre and just like doesn't work on so many levels, and the mixtape never recovers from it. All the tracks just like blend together and have like that same unimaginative, unenergetic feel, and after that, like I just completely lost interest in the project.
Here's when I realized the Coloring Book does not work as a project. I was I moved to Minnesota on Monday. It was a 12-hour drive, and I decided to listen to Coloring Book again just because I wanted to like get a good focus, listen to it, and that was a good opportunity to do it. I was enjoying it more than my first couple listens, and I was seeing, now that most of the discussion had come out, I was kind of, I knew what kind of things to look for and what things were like, what people appreciated about it, and I was like, okay, like, I guess I was probably being a little too harsh on this, and I was jamming out to All Night, which is probably guaranteed song of the summer, and then I was like, yeah, I love this song. I do love All Night still.
Oh my god, I know where you're going, and I agree completely.
And so I'm driving, and All Night's on. I'm in a bit of a traffic jam in like mid Illinois, and so we're pretty much at gridlock at this point. I'm jamming out to All Night. I'm like, you know what? I'm in gridlock, but this song's really good. Like whatever, I'll get there when I get there. And then How Great comes on, and the first I'm stopped in gridlock traffic with my windows down, like blasting this album, and How Great comes on, and the first minute and a half is the fucking choral choir, like. And I look around at the other cars, and I'm like, what do these people think of me? Like, looking in on this situation right now where I'm just, like, in my fucking truck jamming out to, like, this. Like, this, I don't know what this is.
How Great. I didn't think it was possible for there to be a song in 2016 more unnecessary than Lowlights, but how great is it?
Yep.
God, I mean, it's weird.
It's not that unnecessary. It's not that unnecessary.
It's just weird.
As like Electronica verse saves it, but it's like, why? Why do you need to do that?
Actually, no. I want to go that far.
Minutes?
Jay Electronica fucking overrated as fuck. I seriously just do not get it with that guy. Like
his verse is fire, dude.
Like, oh, he's a great rapper. Like, yeah, but I don't care. Like, literally, I don't give a shit about anything he says. Like, literally,
Exhibit C is a great song. The rest is skippable.
It's like literally, I don't care at all about him in any way possible. Like Jay Electronica, I just don't get the hype at all. Like, again, it's been like he's been around for like 10 years and he still hasn't dropped an album. Like, he's been hyping up an album for like 6 or 7 years now and it still hasn't dropped. Yeah, I don't care. He doesn't have any like previous album that could like keep me hyped. It's not like, like an artist that's taking like a long break between albums. It's not like the Avalanches where they have that great first album. It's not like, Frank Ocean right now where he has that first great album. He has no album to go off on, so it's like
calling Since I Left You and Channel Orange great is a disservice to both those albums. I will defend that.
Well, I'm saying, but
Matty, here's
great.
the thing, though.
Of course they're great.
I'm gonna make a counterpoint to you. Okay.
Okay, go on ahead.
Jai Paul.
Okay, well,
didn't marry a Rothschild. End of story.
Okay,
Jai Paul's a more controlled incident too, isn't he? Didn't he kind of surface only like within the past 3 or 4 years, pretty much?
Okay, Jai Paul's been around, very recently. Only surfaced around like 2011 is when he 2010, 2011. Yeah. And at least Jai Paul, he has that leaked album though, and
that's a moot point. Will.
And if anything, the Jai Paul album is still like, people are kind of like, the hype is dying down a little bit, but like AK Paul is kind of bringing back that hype back up. But Jay Electronica, it's been a bit longer though, like for waiting with an album, because here's the thing. There was no thing about Jai Paul turning in his album. There's been no news of that. It's not like, it's just always been he's working on his album. With Jay Electronica, there has been news of him like actually like turning in his album, but then nothing coming of it.
Guys, I think Frank Ocean's dead. By the way,
he's not dead. He helped do James Blake's album. He's not dead.
That album is never coming out. Is what I meant.
It's only been 4 years. Like, we're acting like it's been fucking forever.
It's only been 4 years.
And you're complaining now. I remember being on Hip Hop Heads in 2013 and people were like, where's Frank been? It's been forever. Frank disappeared. What the fuck? We're so thirsty. And it's like, he's abiding by normal album cycle rules. Like, calm down.
I mean, I'm guilty of that too, though, because I am fiending for the fucking new Danny Brown album, and like Old was 2013, but I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like I need a new Danny Brown album this year. Like I will be very upset if we don't get a new Danny Brown project this year.
I think we're actually gonna get it. I do think that we'll actually get it this year because like
I think
he said he's done with it. I think he said he's done with it.
Yeah, it would be like, but what I'm saying is that like it would be completely reasonable for Danny Brown to be like, nope, the album's coming out like in 2017. I've been taking some time off.
Isn't there like that documentary that's coming out like really soon for Danny Brown?
Yeah.
So it does look like we'll probably get something like real, like we'll hear about something really soon. And like Danny Brown, he had that like great song with like Clams Casino, that was awesome. So, but yeah, Frank Ocean, man, we miss you. But like it's only been I think people do rate like, but the thing is I think people were mad about Frank Ocean because like he announced the album's coming out. He was like, July 2015, and then like nothing came of it.
They deserve to be pissed about that because I mean he said he gave like a time and then he just didn't say anything about it.
Really though, like I don't know if we end up getting like I don't know the like Color and Anything to Radio Silence relationship with like Boys Don't Cry versus whatever Frank does, I'll be fine.
Yeah,
like I feel like it's going to be the same thing. He's going to come back with something like better than what he was going to present in the first place.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I mean, probably, but he should have at least said something. You know, he should have said, "Hey," he should have at least written an apology.
What apology though? Like it was just Twitter like whipping themselves into circles. I was very glad I wasn't on the internet during that time.
Here's the thing, okay, because Frank did announce that it was July 15th. People were like, "Is that when the album comes out?" And like a representative like Frank Ocean confirmed to like Billboard, like, "Oh yeah, it's coming out July 2015." And then it went by. It wasn't like, "Oh, I'm sorry guys, like I realize the album is kind of delayed and I need to work on it," but it's July 2015. It flew by, and that was it. Just nothing. We just heard nothing.
I have a friend who like he started that month, but he just like tweets every day at Frank Ocean, like, "Where's the album? Where's the album?" Like every day.
Yeah, that annoys me. Like, and I don't think James Blake put anything out like saying Radio Silence was delayed. He didn't say anything either. So again,
did he give a specific date for that album?
Radio Silence, yeah, he said April 20th or something like that.
He
said April.
He said like spring. I think more. He said like I know in like an interview he said he's like 70% done with it, and he's like it'll probably be done in like a couple months, and then nothing.
But then to be fair too, like we got it in the first week of May, so like
and it's out now, and it was only like 3 years anyway, so it's not like it was too long. But like Frank Ocean, it's more of like okay, it's been like almost a year since you like, it's been over a year since you've announced this album, and like nothing. Like, you had, like, a somewhat official announcement of it, and then nothing. Like...
Nada.
At the same time, he didn't even specify that Boys Don't Cry was an album, which is, like, that's a cop-out, I know.
No, here's the thing. He said it was going to be a magazine, but the magazine hasn't even come out either, so it's like, what are you doing, Frank?
Was it going to... Like, not even, though. Like, I just think, like, it was a pick... But, like, here's the thing. I don't think, like, Boys Don't Cry was, like, intended as the album, or even as a fucking magazine or a publication or whatever. But, like, he did... Nothing happened in July 2015. So, like, what the fuck was that, Frank? Like, I think he's being very reclusive. And, like, I mean, in my opinion, Frank Ocean isn't the artist that, like, gets to be like, oh, I'm reclusive and working on my masterpiece right now.
Oh, in my opinion, he absolutely is. Like, Frank Ocean and Avalanches are in the camp of artists I'll be happy with working on an album forever.
I'm the podcast Frank Ocean hater.
I'm disgusted that you can put... No. I'm disgusted that you can put the Avalanches and Frank Ocean in the same category. I'm disgusted.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the official Frank Ocean hater. So.
I mean, they're not in the same category. Let's be clear. Since I Left You is like my third favorite album of all time. Yeah. Channel Orange is one of the best albums of the decade. But like, they are artists I am okay with taking the time they need to like do great work because no matter how long it takes to get the album, like I have a feeling Frank's going to put out another classic, and so like with that knowledge, I'm okay waiting. If it sucks, I'll be pissed, but it won't. It's Frank. It can't suck. It won't.
See, I like Channel Orange, and that statement alone gets me a lot of hate. I like Channel Orange.
Yeah.
I don't get what's classic about that album, especially like maybe 10 years from now. Like if people were like, yeah, that album was a classic, but like the instant it came out, people were like, this album is classic, and I'm like, this album is a good pop album. I like it, but like Jesus Christ,
it's more than that, AJ. Though it's more than that. There's every song. It's like the coloring. Like, every song on Channel Orange is great. Every song has a purpose, and it needs to be there. because there's just songs here that are just so fucking great, and you listen to it, you just listen to it, and it still sounds like. Thing is, I can actually wait for a Frank Ocean album because I'm still listening to Channel Orange today, and it still sounds great. It's like, man, I can kind of wait for a Frank Ocean album because this is still here.
Maybe I had my like perception distorted by the fact that, again, like my hype abstinence thing, because I listened to Channel Orange at first and like, I don't know, saw it was a 9.5, but I didn't really understand what that meant at the time. I just listened to it. I was like, it's a pretty good album. I can see people loving this. And then like independently, like over the next couple months, I started listening to it more and more. And like by fall of that year had like realized, oh my God, I'm listening to a perfect album. So a bit of a different experience for me with it, which is maybe why I love it so much. Because that felt like an album that was so like special and spiritually important to me.
See, I got Channel Orange, like I was there like the day, like the moment Channel Orange dropped, and I was like, ooh, I love this album. And then like probably by the end of the year, people were like, Channel Orange is the single greatest album of all time. Instant classic. Frank Ocean is a proven god artist. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, like I wasn't involved in like, I don't know, like I didn't have guys like you to talk about with, or like people on the subreddit to talk about it with at that time. So it was literally like just me and my private adoration of this album, which is part of like why I think I have such a big relationship with it, is because like, yeah, I had never had that within like a contemporary album before, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. For me, like to throw the label classic on an album, there has to be something for me that's like sort of instantly forward thinking, you know, proven, conceptually like cohesive. And it's hard for me to kind of vocalize it, but none of the criteria of what I look for in a classic is fit by Channel Orange.
Yeah, everything you just described, like for me, that is Channel Orange.
I don't get it. Channel Orange is a very like competent pop album, but that's basically all it is. Like there's no like deep statement to it. The concept, if you can even call it that, is like extremely weak. It's not a concept album at all. Like I just don't get like what I love.
Okay, hey, hold on.
If people didn't call it a classic, I think I would be more like friendly about it.
Does the
but
color
I don't
anything
get
have
what's
a
classic about it.
Okay, here's the thing. Frank Ocean. The reason why I think people call it a classic, and I don't know. I think I kind of want to go that far to call it a classic. Is that, and I also think the mystique of Frank Ocean honestly is also a part of why people consider it a classic. It's in my top 10 of all time. Because also I think the mystique of Frank Ocean recently has also kind of propelled this that it's a classic, because
see, that's what's pissing me off, because no, it's like a self-constructed narrative, just because like maybe when the second album comes out people will cool down on Channel Orange so much, but like Frank Ocean was a mid-tier member of Odd Future. And
mid-tier,
like,
okay. At the time, yes. But that album was the one that softened him as like, okay, this is the best member of Odd Future.
Let me finish my statement. Frank Ocean was a mid-tier member of Odd Future at the time when they were all dropping projects. Channel Orange came out and was easily, and still is, easily the best project any member of Odd Future has produced. That's it. It was an incredibly like
even then,
well-produced
the best Odd Future project. Congratulations.
Yes, but like it's definitely transcended that, but not much else. Like, fuck, I don't know. Like,
okay, like Thinking About You is one of the best pop songs of the decade.
Jeremiah is not allowed to listen to that episode. Like, he'll have a heart attack and die.
Hey, at least Matty and I are like defending Channel Orange for it.
Pyramids is a good song. Lost
Channel Orange doesn't have to be defended. Okay, you don't have to defend Channel Orange for me.
It's hard. I just have.
No, I know.
Okay, now usually I'm really good at defending these things and saying like this is why it's a classic. But I can't. Like it's just like you just listen to it. It's either you get it or you don't get it. I hate to say that. Like I feel like such a hypocrite for saying that. Either you don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't get why it's a classic.
I don't get why it's a good album.
Well, I'm gonna.
I don't get why like people are like this is a 9.5.
This happens to me too when I try to have the discussion of like, no, Good Kid, Mad City is not better than To Pimp a Butterfly, and then like whenever I have that conversation,
that's subjective because they're both classic albums.
Yes, but whenever I have that conversation, I come out like I'm shitting on Good Kid, Mad City, and I have to stop myself and be like, hold on, I'm shitting on Good Kid, Mad City. Like this conversation sucks because I have to like talk down Good Kid, Mad City.
Good Kid, Mad City is a classic album.
Okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying there, AJ. Like, I just love Channel Orange a whole lot. Like, I get that you like it, that you don't think it's a classic, and like, yeah, that Good Kid, Mad City comparison, I've like totally done
here's
that
the
too.
thing. Okay,
Like,
people,
To Pimp a Butterfly is better.
Okay, the reason why people call Channel Orange, it's just such an album that everyone loves. But there's just so many people that love that
Not
album.
everyone loves it because I don't like it.
Okay,
So,
most people love that album. Like,
for me, that does not make an album a classic.
I agree.
There's so much discussion about it, and it's so
Okay,
like.
most people love Funeral. What makes Funeral a classic?
Boy.
That's a horrible question.
Boy.
Yeah, that is a good.
I want you to actually answer that question.
I'm
What
not
makes
saying it's
Funeral-
not, but it's hard to answer. Maybe that's what Channel
Tell
Orange
me
is like.
why
It's another
Funeral
intangible
is a
album.
classic album. In words.
I'm pausing Dark Souls and I'm lifting up my microphone. Funeral is a classic because in 2004, an independent rock album that came literally out of nowhere and is the most emotionally cognizant, conceptually consistent, most musically interesting album of all time to be released out of nowhere in 2004 when music was arguably at one of its most commercial periods. For an album like Funeral to exist, succeed, be immediately recepted and welcomed, and essentially, here's the thing, I'm putting the microphone back down now because I'm about to make the most absurd statement I've ever made. Funeral literally changed indie rock forever. I'll go
that's
further.
true.
Wake Up. Wake
And
Up.
I agree with that, but like you have
Wake
to
Up
use your
changed.
words.
Wake Up changed indie rock forever. Everything that came out after Funeral sounded, in a way, every album that came out after Funeral had at least one moment where it sounded like it was trying to imitate Funeral.
You could say the same about Channel Orange.
No, you literally cannot.
You can't say that part about Channel
Actually,
Orange. You can say some of the other stuff.
kind of can about alt R&B.
You can say you can maybe say that about the Weeknd. I think again, Trilogy. I don't know if it's seeing as Trilogy is like. I mean, people love that fucking love that those set of mixtapes, and those are the like. I mean, if we're talking like what like set of albums laid the groundwork for alternative R&B? Most it's like a split 50-50 between Channel Orange and Trilogy, and of course there's also maybe you can go even further and go like 33 and go 808s and Heartbreak, Trilogy, Channel Orange.
I like Channel Orange way more.
What about
than
Take Care?
Listen,
Take Care was completely influenced by the Weeknd.
Let AG talk.
I like Channel Orange way more than Trilogy. If someone was to come to me and say, I think Trilogy is a classic, I would entertain that conversation more than saying Channel Orange is a classic. The Trilogy has this kind of establishing quality where it established The Weeknd as literally one of the biggest artists right now. And Frank Ocean's Channel Orange is literally just a good pop album that people talk about.
It's not just a good pop album, AJ. You're bullshitting.
It's a good pop album that people talk about a lot on the internet. That's the only classic quality.
AJ, thing is, I will say things that I'm not a big Channel Orange fan myself. I barely even like the album. I do think it's a classic in that how much so many people love it.
I think it's literally only a classic because people are like, man, I really like this album. Yeah, you want to go ahead and call it a classic? Yeah.
But to that extent, maybe it is.
I mean, if people are still talking about it in 10 years, then I think that's kind of the threshold, right?
I mean, AJ, I'll tell you like this. Is Teens of Denial a classic?
Ooh.
No, because you cannot, when an album comes out, you can't be like, very few albums. Okay, I think the last album that on launch, literally the day it came out, you could say this album's a classic. Okay, To Pimp a Butterfly, but before To Pimp a Butterfly, it's literally Funeral. I think that is such a rare occurrence for an album to come out and you can immediately go, this album is.
Okay, AJ, I will raise you one. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Okay, yes, I did forget My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Okay, I was going to ask about that because those are the three, really.
Yes. Okay, fine. To Pimp a Butterfly.
Since and then what maybe In Rainbows, maybe.
No,
Nope.
Kid A over In Rainbows any day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay, I'm not saying that it's their best album. I'm saying that it's an album that comes out and immediately you can call it classic.
I don't think people said that about In Rainbows when it came out.
Well,
I wasn't there.
I do think so, but in a very different way, just because it was like Radiohead had already proven themselves as a classic band, and at that point, every album they put out is going to be considered a classic.
Okay,
unless they prove otherwise.
Can I go back to Trilogy real quick? I mean, I like them because I think people like. I think you guys are understanding its influence in alternative R&B a little bit.
Trilogy or Channel?
Trilogy. Trilogy.
I'm absolutely not. I said it's more of a classic than Channel Orange, in my opinion.
Okay.
I love Trilogy, and I have a problem with that statement too.
In terms of influence, yes, it's a bit more influential than Channel Orange. I will definitely say that because just on the basis of Drake alone, but of quality, like Channel Orange just stood up a lot better than Trilogy to me. Trilogy still is great.
Trilogy is great, but it has flaws.
Yeah, it has too much flaws for me to go. It's a classic. But it's very influential, and it's going to go down as like an album that's like, okay, this really like, without this album, you would not have alternative R&B. Because R&B at that point, before Trilogy, R&B was at a very like not good place. It was a very stagnated, like it was very stagnaty. Like it was just, there wasn't anything interesting going on in the scene. Because some of the old guards were starting to finally die down. It was just sort of like, and you had Drake who was kind of putting some R&B elements to his music, but it wasn't really interesting. But then The Weeknd comes along, drops like House of Balloons out of nowhere, and just completely... You could say that House of Balloons is the funeral of R&B in some ways, for how that here's the thing. The Weeknd, here's the thing. Arcade Fire, The Weeknd, both came out of completely nowhere. Two, they're both from Canada.
Matty, you've only listened to Funeral and like you've listened to Neon Bible once.
Okay.
Don't have this conversation.
Yeah, I'll agree with Will there as someone who like bought Funeral as a little kid when it came out.
There's only been one next funeral of anything,
but
and that's memes.
Okay, but from the way that from what AJ was talking about in terms of like how it influenced indie rock and just how like every band was trying to sound like it, you could make those comparisons for The Weeknd just as easy. Okay, like you could.
But I think that no. The point, I'll agree. I see where you're coming from with that, but the point is that like that's a much more self-contained ecosystem than like what Funeral was, and that's why Funeral is. I think Funeral is. Just because of, when I was born and when we live, I think Funeral's the most important album of all time. And like...
Of all time? Okay, are you... Okay. Of all time, are you
for
talking
my,
about...
For you?
Opinion. For you? The most important album for you? Or are we talking like in general? Because if you're... Okay.
Lay Pet Sounds.
Exactly, thank you, Will.
But actually, I disagree with that. The Beatles are more influential than that.
Oh, yeah. No, I think if you had to like make a blanket statement and like say, give me the most important album of all time, it would be a Beatles album. I don't fucking like that.
Actually, you know what it is? I'll go to my grave with this. Rubber Soul is the most important album of all time.
Yeah, I'm not well versed enough. I would say.
And here's why.
Okay, Rubber Soul was a turning point for albums. I will definitely. I see where you're coming from.
And everything the Beatles did was zeitgeist influencing. Like, yeah, Rubber Soul and Cohesion and everything was influenced by what Bob Dylan was doing, but Bob Dylan didn't have nearly the stage as the Beatles.
Rubber Soul was 65, right?
December 65.
I will say Sgt. Pepper's, I think, is the most important album of all time, actually.
I'm still going with it. For me, it's Pet Sounds, though.
I prefer Sgt. Pepper. Actually, that's my favorite. It's my second favorite 60s album behind. Actually, I would go to my grave saying that Velvet Underground is more important to the music we like.
Yeah. That's fair.
The Velvet Underground thing is the thing is that I came into it with kind of virgin ears in a way, is that I used to listen to alt rock radio and shit like that before the Velvet Underground, Nico.
I don't really think the Beatles are super important to.
But the Velvet Underground, like listening to the album, and it's like, hey, music is allowed to be weird.
Okay,
like,
here's
my mirror statement. Back when me and my brother were in our teens, like maybe 13, 14, we wrote this one song. It's called Sunrise. It's on YouTube. I'll maybe link it to you guys later. It's a pretty decent song, but we ended up scrapping it and deciding it's no good because it didn't have a chorus. We're like, songs have to have choruses. That's what we know. Then I listened to Velvet Underground, Nico. I'm like, wait a second. Songs don't have to have choruses. They don't have to have anything. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what the Velvet Underground means to me, is that music, there are no rules.
That was, I'll throw in my favorite album. Like, that was what Untrue was to me. It was this discovery of, music can be anything, but the purpose of music is expression. As long as you're expressing yourself through music and sound, then it's valid. There's no constraints.
Before that, I had no idea.
You guys are talking about Trout Mask Replica right now. Like, that's where that conversation begins and ends.
Yes and no, but
and no.
No, yeah, things that it takes that to more extreme, but that doesn't mean that the Velvet Underground are any more or less weird.
Yeah,
Trout Mask Replica was more weird, but that doesn't make Untrue or the Velvet Underground and Nico not weird albums.
But that's what
I don't think Untrue's a weird album at all. Like, that's my favorite album. It's pretty conventional, but it's incredible.
Yeah, the thing is that Velvet Underground Nico is also kind of conventional, but what I mean is that, like, for example, they just had a viola. They didn't have a string section, just a viola that mostly served for droning purposes. And before listening to the album, I would have said, you're not allowed to do that. You can't play with a rock band and just have a viola. Mm-hmm. If you have one instrument, it's a violin or a cello.
and boy, they are about to do it.
See that's what Velvet Underground Nico means to me.
Can we argue about Velvet Underground?
If it sounds good, it can be anything.
Okay,
hold on before we get into Velvet Underground because I don't know a lot about them. Like I will say,
no, Matty, I don't want to have this discussion.
Why do you say why?
Okay, then allow me to distract from this discussion.
Why he is the best Velvet Underground album? Is that the conversation
I don't
want to have?
agree with you, but you're not wrong either. So
that's
not the conversation.
I agree.
Difference of opinion.
I agree, and I don't even want to have this discussion. That's just an unpleasant discussion to have right now.
Okay, then I will distract. I'll bring it back around. So, like, Untrue, my favorite album of all time. I think, I think what we're getting bogged down in is part of the criteria of a classic, and it is, but not necessarily is this idea of like influence and being game changing. And like Untrue, like my favorite album of all time. I would say it's the most important album of the 21st century, in my opinion. Next to Kid A, of course. But the thing is, like, Untrue's not influential. You don't hear that album at a lot of other albums because no one's been able to do something like that since. And I think Channel Orange is in a similar camp. It's singular.
It's in the same camp.
No, I disagree with you. You hear Channel Orange in a lot of things.
No. What I meant was like I agree with his assertion that like Burial is Untrue is a classic, but like you haven't heard its influence, and like you can't argue that Channel Orange is a classic for the same reasons, literally because you like very similar albums that have accomplished almost exactly the same thing have come out, and like a lot of them.
I don't know if I agree, but again, that's subjective. But what I will say, like as a challenge, because part of the problem is like, because to me, like I find Channel Orange to be such a complex and layered and nuanced album personally, especially with the lyrics. So like, it's hard to articulate why that's such an important album to me right now. But like, fuck it, like I'll write an FYC on that album, and we'll see what you guys think.
But
I don't think you have to, wait, are you talking about Untrue or Channel Orange?
Channel Orange. I already wrote Untrue on FYC. Boy.
I don't think you have to convince. You don't have to convince anyone that like Channel Orange.
Literally, the only people you have to convince are me and AJ.
No,
AJ loves Channel Orange. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to AJ's corner here. Like, he likes the album, doesn't think it's a classic. I love the album, think it's a classic.
I think you can. I don't like. It is okay to enjoy an album that like doesn't have the classic label slapped on it. I think
Japanese Breakfast.
Yes.
Not a classic album in the slightest.
That album is in no way a classic, and if it ends up being at the top of my favorite albums of 2016 list, it will literally only be because that's the album I've spent the most time with in 2016. And like from an objective standpoint, like that was my favorite album of 2016. I listened to it probably literally every day since it came out, and like very well may continue that through the rest of 2016. And like I love that album. I don't think it's a classic, and like I didn't even give it, I don't give it a 10. Like I gave it a 4 out of 5 on my first listen through and still have it in my like log and haven't changed that. And it's still sitting at my second favorite album above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other albums I've given 5 out of 5 this year. Like Japanese Breakfast is above all of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, like I do have a like example for that with my own taste. Like my second favorite of all time, Lost in the Sound of Separation. I love that album to death. A super important album to me. But yeah, I wouldn't call that a classic. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like how Deja Into, I think that's my favorite brand new album and one of my favorite of all time. But I wouldn't call that it's an emo classic, but it's not a classic.
Yeah, like and also classic within genre is a good point too. But
The Devil and God is a classic.
And that's what I was just about to say. Lost in the Sound, my favorite Under Oath album, but Define the Great Line is their classic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like I'd say The Devil and God is brand new's classic, not just their classic, but I would argue it's a general classic.
I would agree with that statement.
Yeah.
I'm going through and looking. I have a list on
classic albums
of like classics. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, these are oh well no, it's my rock classics, so it doesn't really count. I have my classics though, like here's just a list of general things that I have like in contention for classics. I have Funeral, Neon Bible, Devil and God, Pinkerton.
See, Neon Bible isn't classic though. It's only a personal classic.
That's a personal classic.
Okay,
it's at the very
are
top.
we gonna talk? Okay, I'll let AJ go first. Personal classics. I want to talk about mine.
You just ruined your point by calling that album a classic.
Nope, that's only because like this was my list. It's literally at the top just because I was being very particular. But everything else is literally what I consider a classic.
Like objectively, not subjectively.
Yes, the rest of the list is objective. Funeral, Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, Pinkerton, Blue, Since I Left You, Lift Your Skinny Fists Like Antenna to Heaven, Kid A, OK Computer, Benji, Sound of Silver.
Benji, that's another one.
I think Benji's a classic.
Here's the
See,
thing.
no,
Okay,
but it's
Will,
not-
Will,
it's not
Will,
totally
Will,
a classic
Will,
if you
Will,
say you
Will,
like it.
Will, Will,
I like
Will,
it too.
Will, Will,
I
Will,
love
Will,
that album.
okay, Will, please shut the fuck up, please, for the love of God. A personal classic is not like an actual like objective classic. A personal classic is like this album means a lot means just a lot to me, and for me is a classic. I don't think it's like a classic overall. That's why people say Channel Orange is a classic, honestly, because it's a personal classic to them. And when so many people have like Channel Orange as like a personal classic, it just kind of becomes a classic album. I'm just now realizing that point, but continue.
Yeah, I agree with
suppose,
Matty on that one. I think Channel Orange is a classic just because so many people do call it a classic.
Yeah, it's a beloved album, and it's going to continue to be for a long time. And again, like timeliness is part of what makes a classic. I think Channel Orange is going to endure, like in terms of albums of this decade that we're still talking about in a long time.
Well, then I suppose I can change my tune then from to slightly more negative in the fact that like I just don't get why Channel Orange. Perhaps.
Again, I'll write that FYC, boy.
See, no, and I don't. See, I don't.
Honestly,
get it either.
Stefan, get that to me as soon as possible.
You don't have to like every classic album.
That's true. I mean,
There's
we're just
lots of
like
classics.
discussing shit for the sake of discussing shit too. That's an important caveat to like bring to all this.
You don't have to like every classic album. The problem is, I love Channel Orange, and I don't think it's a classic.
Okay, can I tell you what
Hot take?
Okay, personal classics.
Legitimate hot take.
Okay, go for it.
Oh no! I was just saying like that. What AJ just said. That's like a pretty. That's an interesting spin on like having an opinion about Channel Orange. I respect that.
I don't think it's a hot take. Like I think there's a weird attitude that just like when you find an album you like and like listen to an album, you have to elevate it to this status where it's sort of protected from any criticism. And the fact that it's just like, oh well, it's Channel Orange, dude. Like you can't, there's no discussion that needs to be had about Channel Orange. I feel like it's an album, and I think it's a very rare case where an album can be like this soon in its life. I think Funeral is now just getting to the point where it's just like, yeah, holy shit, like Arcade Fire's Funeral. You need to listen to that album. You need to accept that it's one of the greatest albums of all time, and you need to move on. Like you just need to have that working in your consciousness.
My personal classics albums. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were muttering under your breath.
No, I want to talk about again. You're talking about personal classics, and it's like I want to talk about my here's the thing.
But see, you call it Redeemer Bunce or Redeemer your favorite album of all time.
Yes.
That album a classic.
No, it's a personal classic. It's a personal classic, and there's a very big difference between. And it's not again to many people. It's not a personal classic. It's a personal classic to me. Like I'm probably like one of like maybe like a couple hundred people who think it's like a personal classic to them, and they fucking love that album.
FYI, I'm stirring up shit in the other chat right now.
Ooh.
Wait, hold on. I gotta see this real quick. Sorry.
Oh fuck.
Oh, chances maybe I'm trying to discuss. She probably listened to the
not going to go well.
Oh god. Okay, you guys aren't seeing this. Okay, so here's the recap for all the people who are listening. So Alex posts in the chat, Chance's baby mama tried to cheat on him.
Oh my god,
discuss.
I forgot we were recording this. Jesus Christ.
Okay, AJ says she probably listened to Coloring Book once, and then Jeremiah's like, "What? Are you talking about that line in that one song?" And Alex is like, "Yeah, but there are other things too, Jeremiah, because that's either about a pillar of Salt Lake Roll or the music industry." Oh boy, this is getting heated up. Okay, we should probably end this episode. Okay, personal again. I guess you guys want to give your personal classics. I got it like right here, real quick.
I actually have a list of.
Okay, my personal classics. This is very off the top of the dome, very off. But okay, Blue Album is a classic. The Velvet Underground and Nico, that is a classic album. And the Aeroplane Over the Sea. We're gonna go with Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. You have Funeral, Kid A, The Moon in Antarctica, The College Dropout, Supreme Clientele, and those are just my off the top of the dome classics right there.
I got a couple listed here right now on my Twitter. Okay, so Redeemer Dean Blunt, you already know. Go watch my FYC video on it. I said Pet Sounds. I feel like calling Pet Sounds a personal classic. I'm gonna try to exclude albums that are like, okay, these are already like established classic albums.
An actual classic.
So I'm gonna try to dip away from like established classic albums. The Money Store, Death Grips, really like most of Death Grips' discog I would say are like personal classics to me. Smile with the Beach Boys, that's kind of like you could debate classic.
It's not an album, so
the story of it, the story of the album is classic, but the album itself.
If you already have Pet Sounds in the discussion, I really don't think. I think including the Smile Sessions is very unnecessary and like
redundant,
derivative. Yeah.
So okay, White Heat, that's already a classic album, but most people when they talk about Velvet Underground, it's usually about and Nico, but it's like White Heat though. Like, guys, this is like you would not have like noise rock or punk rock or so many genres of like music without White Heat. So, but yeah, To Pimp a Butterfly, personal classic to me. To Be Kind.
I have a question when you're done.
Yeah. Hold on, let me go one more. I got like two more albums. Okay, Overground, and then a very recent personal classic besides like Gin and Orange, which again that's been a personal classic for like a couple of years now. It's been like Sung Tongs and Strawberry Jam and like Turn on the Bright Lights have become like very recent personal classics to me. But what's your question, AJ?
Do you guys think Run the Jewels 2 is a classic?
Oh God, no, nuh-uh.
No.
Yeah, I also agree with no. I was looking at I was very quickly throwing together a list of what I consider classics from this decade, and I think I'm like looking at this list. I'm sure there's.
If it's just of this decade, then yes. But in
Oh
general,
no! I was saying like what I think will endure. Like I'm looking at.
It's not. Run the Jewels 2 is an enduring classic, but at the time, yes.
Sure, it's like a 20. This is the very short list I was able to scrap together of what I think classic albums of the 2010s. Lonerism, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, The Suburbs, and then even these last two, The Monitor and Sunbather, I think are more personal than anything. I would have a tough time calling those classics. But so,
well, I don't know. I said it, but I'm convinced Channel Orange is a classic. Even though I don't even like it, it's a classic.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it.
This is a whole new wrench to throw into the discussion, but like we could argue it rather than a classic, it's an essential. Like it's ingrained in the culture for sure.
I can call it an essential.
Yeah.
I cannot call it a classic.
Guys, we did it. We had another constructive discussion. AJ, are you done or?
I mean, yeah, but
okay.
Like this is the list. Tell me something that's like immediately missing from this album of classics of the 2010s. Lonerism, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and The Suburbs.
What else will be... The Modern Vampires of the City.
I don't even know. That was my favorite album of 2013, but only because 2013 was a very inconsequential year.
I
think that's a classic album.
I think Contra is more of their proven classic. Like already, it's got their bigger singles.
That's just so untrue.
It's Modern Vampires of the City. Everyone says that. That's the one.
No, AJ, no. Like, okay, diehards say Contra, but everyone else says Modern Vampires.
Am I being a Vampire Weekend hipster right now?
Yes.
I think Contra is like their classic.
Which one do you prefer?
I think Modern Vampires of the City is a much more like mature and just like that's what I love about Modern Vampires of the City is such a startling like a stark contrast from Contra where it's just like holy shit like this is a very mature nuanced album for Vampire Weekend who were established on Contra as a fun like capital top of the pack like fun inconsequential indie rock band.
That's why Modern Vampires is a classic. It's because it established Vampire Weekend as a players. And then
nope, I think
Rostam dropped out, and now they're not. But
I think Modern Vampires of the City is like I think Modern Vampires of the City is so good, like because Vampire Weekend was already established with their classic album Contra, and it was like holy shit.
Okay, that's their AG. You're getting mixed up. It goes Modern Vampires, self-titled, then Contra. In terms of classic.
What the fuck are you talking? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Have you looked at our essentials list?
Remember when I got us feeling positive about everything at the end there, and then we kept going?
There is no end to this. This is never.
Did you see there's self-titled on there and not Contra?
Is it really? I don't go on the sub. I don't use the sub like active. I'm not a big part of the sub community. Where's our essentials list? Hold on.
It's on the sidebar. While you guys are looking, I'll list off my personal classics. Yeah, Untrue, greatest album of all time for me. Lost in the Sound of Separation. I already mentioned these three. That's a hugely important album. Since I Left You, life-changing album. Sunbathe, hugely life-changing album for me. And then I don't really know what the fifth one would be. I'll throw in Talk, Sigur Rós there as an honorable mention because they have some objective classics, but that's like the real, like that's the one that gets me on a personal level. Really recent classic that I'm going to be the only one who is like hailing this album in 10 years is Frozen Niagara Falls by Prurient. I haven't talked about this.
That's a good fucking album, dude.
That's an incredible album. Like that shot up. That's retrospectively like, if not for To Pimp a Butterfly, that would have been my like album of the year. 2015.
It's your number 2 right now.
Sorry,
is that your number 2?
Yeah, that's my number 2 now. Sorry, New Bermuda, I cooled off on you. You're great. Okay, I cooled off.
Yeah, see, yeah, Harmlessness is I think Harmlessness in 10 years, I think that will grow a cult.
I don't. I love it. You know I love it, but I'm looking at our 2000s essential list on the subreddit. 2 albums stick out to me like sore thumbs as just like, what are these albums doing standing among the other ones? Number 5, Arctic Monkeys. Whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. And then number 20, Of Montreal, Hissing Fauna. Classic? Essential? I don't know.
Essential, not classic, but that's a big album. Actually,
and then the
shout
Postal
out to
Service is like not, that album is not even that good. Like the Postal Service have a classic song, but that album, I don't know.
And also that song's not even that good.
Which song are you talking about?
Such Great Heights, duh.
Yeah, that's a one. No, I love that song. The thing is, I don't like that album, but I fucking love.
Then I'm looking at our 2000s essential list. I think every other album on
2000s.
there. Yes, I'm only looking at the 2000s right now. I think every other album on there stands as a classic.
Well, what's wrong with our essentials is that we have the 2010s mixed in there. We can only have 3 albums.
Well, you can't separate them yet because.
Right, but like Yeast is in. Join and Newsome is not in there.
Yeah. I'm not saying that like these are the classics. I'm saying that everything on this list, except for the 3 that I picked out.
What about Demon Days?
Yeah, Demon Days is absolutely a classic, dude. You can't, even if you don't like it that much, you cannot deny that, like, holy shit, that album was important as fuck and huge as fuck.
Yeah, that was a big one.
No, another one that sticks out is The Age of Odds.
Yeah, I think that's sub preference.
And and that's the thing. Sub preference skewed like the voting a lot when we made our essentials, which is not like
I really don't think so.
necessarily, but I think our voting process was flawed in that like the most popular albums, even if they were essential, got in. And I think what we need to do, mods, if you're listening, on the off chance, the next time what we need to do is we need to like have a preliminary vote where we vote which albums are going to stay essential and which albums aren't, and that albums are going to get voted out. Because like if people are just putting like a Merryweather Post Pavilion and Funeral in a thread, those are going to get the most upvotes, and it's going to draw away from like a measured discussion. I think we need to say like, okay, the sub collectively decided that like these 6 albums we put in last year are no longer essential. What are 6 albums that deserved it more? And then that's the premise we.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like we need to keep, like, obviously we can agree that Merryweather Post Pavilion stays.
Oh yeah. No. I was citing that as an album.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's
like
an
I was saying,
exactly.
I think.
So we need to decide, instead of voting for albums, we need to vote against albums.
Initially.
I think there's 3 albums you cut off of that list. I already told you: Arctic Monkeys, Of Montreal, and Postal Service. Every other album, I think, is a proven classic.
No, but things the sub fucking. I think Postal Service stays because the sub fucking loves that album, and it is kind of a precursor for Indie-tronica.
Example though too.
Yo, guys, I gotta edit this podcast, guys. I gotta edit this first
fuck
podcast
you.
and then this podcast.
It's Indie-tronica though.
Yeah,
That's an
gotta wrap
important
this up.
Indie-tronica album.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I was moving on. I was saying that the 90s list, I think, is perfect. I think there's nothing I would remove from the 90s
No,
list.
yeah, there is one Swans. This comes from the biggest Swans stand on here.
Dude, no. Soundtracks for the Blind is the one a lot of people. We all got into Swans late, I think, but Soundtracks for the Blind is. I think Swans have multiple classics. I think Filth, Soundtracks for the Blind, and To Be Kind are all Swans classics.
Okay, how do we wrap this up?
Okay, yeah. It's hard. It's hard to wait. It's hard to wrap up.
Do you guys want me to give you my address and the Indieheads can come chase me down and kill me for all of the awful things I've said in the past
literally do that.
4
literally
hours?
Do that. Literally give your address right here.
Do it right
It's
now.
your real one. You're not real.
I don't even know it.
You can give me your address, and I will come defend you as the person who like butted heads with you the most on this podcast.
It's like 1067 Southeast 25th Avenue, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Boy.
Wait, is that your actual address? Do I have to send you this in editing?
I believe so. I mixed one thing up, so like people.
Okay, guys, we're gonna end this late night podcast. Hopefully,
find
you guys enjoy this late night episode. It's been a
No.
while. Hopefully, we can keep. Hopefully, we can
come
keep
to
this
my
being a
step,
regular
knock
thing.
on the door, and tell me that I didn't like Channel Orange.
Okay, we're gonna end this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this late night episode. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.